Don't let them tell you the future's electric, because gasoline's not measured in metric. 30,000 rounds got me spinning. Bodeker's goons are grinning. Now my hand is in shreds, and I found out Alex Murphy is dead. Yeah. OCP killed my Murphy. Welcome to the Nostalgia Killers podcast, where we revisit films from our youth to see if they still hold up or should be inserted into the great DVD player in the sky. Normally, I'm sitting across from Chuck Starzensky, but when I came to you, my rotten attorney was nowhere to be found. So I'd like to welcome Robert Negoesco.
Hello. Famed
comic book artist, filmmaker, all-around badass.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
And as so happens, an authority on Robocop.
I guess so. I mean, it is one of the movies I do rewatch, which like often, once every couple of years or something. And that's pretty rare, I guess, at this point in my life.
Right on.
Yeah.
So we the focus of the show is the nostalgia part.
Yeah. Can
you think back to when you first saw this?
I was thinking about that. This wasn't one that I saw as a little kid. I believe I was early teens. I want to say 13 or 14. Probably watched it on VHS.
Right.
And then I think it was just part of a huge diet of movies, and I didn't really think a ton about it for a while, I guess, until I started to rewatch it. And I kind of think of Verhoeven's movies as movies like that. They like very rarely is it like the first time I'm like, whoa, I'm just like, that was good. And anytime someone brought it up, I'd be like, that's a great movie. Yeah. But it's on rewatches that, the true like magic and richness is unlocked, I feel.
Sure.
And then, later teens, I got super into it, I think.
Right on. I'm realizing doing the research for this, just for this show, I've never seen the actual R version.
Oh, yeah.
I'd only ever seen it as a kid on TBS, on television. And boy, did they have to murder the hell out of that film.
Yeah.
It's so hyper violent. There's so much more to it.
So much.
And I just love it more. It makes much more sense as a Verhoeven movie for me now.
Yeah.
Watching it, like the real vision that he had. Oh yeah. I really enjoyed catching up on this.
Even the theatrical R-rated version was slightly neutered.
Sure.
Obviously not as much as what TBS version or whatever, but there was a lot of violence in there, and he wanted to go for the grotesque, to make it absurd, to make the violence absurd, that you won't be like, oh, cool. You'll be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And like some of the behind the scenes stuff, you hear him say like the violence in films, even back when he was making this one, was so passive. Everyone was so dead to it that he wanted it to really stand out and make people feel something when it happened.
Sure.
And boy, did they. Someone called him like Verhoeven buckets of blood or something like that.
It's definitely this one.
Yeah.
And I think that's more a European mindset too. A lot of American filmmakers, it's like, Commando or whatever. I watched 90 dudes die in this movie. I didn't feel anything ever for a second.
Right.
And it's like, as I've watched movies more and more, some of those can be fun, but I prefer death should have an impact.
Sure.
Because it would in life. Even if you're killing 90 dudes, like then give me what's the toll that Arnold Schwarzenegger has to experience after that, like right. That's life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. And I totally, I went to high school in Germany, so I missed the whole late 90s.
Sure.
So I kind of understand where Verhoeven's coming from when I came back to see, my first film when I came back was Saving Private Ryan.
Wow.
So like that's probably one of the first films I think in American culture that kind of hyper violencized itself to like make an impact.
Yeah.
And it's like I came back to that.
Yeah. I mean, and Spielberg's no fool with that. He's not trying to trivialize death. His movies, maybe Indiana Jones, but Indiana Jones doesn't kill that many guys. It's
it's kind of cartoonish.
Yeah. He'll knock somebody out or whatever, but like there's maybe one or two Nazis die, And it's yeah, he also has a European mindset despite being American, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Cool podcast.
I mean,
No, I've got so much to. I mean,
there's so much.
I just have a bunch of notes that I've written down. Watching the movie the second time this morning. Is there anything you want to like jump on?
Well, I mean, I guess like the team of people who put this together is something to talk about. The cast
Sure.
and the special effects people and the music.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I mean, Paul Verhoeven's he's an extremely subversive director. And it's like a lot of his movies are satire based, which is very difficult, especially to an American audience. But they operate on these multiple level sort of things, right? It's like, it's why I watched it and just went, oh, cool movie. Starship Troopers. Oh, cool space bugs. Like,
Yeah.
And then you watch it and you're like, aren't these people dressed like Nazis?
Yeah.
And then you're like, what is this?
I think even in RoboCop there was a lot lost on people, especially like the fake commercials. I'm sure they came off as spoofs.
Yeah.
But they didn't come off. They didn't understand the real dig
No.
Verhoeven was doing to American culture.
Yeah, with the news and then like the Nukem board game and stuff. Like it's like no more aid, pal. Like, but yeah, I mean he's fantastic. But then like just the cast involved is crazy. I mean you have like we'll get back to our star, but like Nancy Allen,
Right.
no less than 4 masterpieces under her belt.
Sure.
She was married to Brian De Palma.
Oh wow.
But and 3 of the other ones that I consider masterpieces, Carrie, Dress to Kill, and Blowout, are all De Palma movies. But I mean, I love Nancy Allen, and she's so cool in this. Like the way they introduce her, like just beating that guy.
Yeah, yeah. She's an actual character. She's
Yeah.
not window dressing. She's not. Yeah, I loved it. That's what I really enjoyed about this entire film is that it's remarkably progressive.
Very.
For its time.
Very.
I was, applause.
Good
job.
They cut because she's known for her like long blonde hair, and they purposely cut the hair because there's certain scenes that would or could be construed as like sexualized. When she comes up to him and like, "What's your name?" Like,
Right.
And if she had that long flowing hair and stuff, and
Be very different.
yeah, they tried to remove that as much as possible and just let her be. I mean, she could have been a man. It doesn't matter,
Right. Yeah.
It's just a person. That's Lewis. Even the name choice, Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really. We know she's Anne Lewis, but
Yeah, and I think that goes into Verhoeven's, like we talked about a few days ago, his vision of like co-ed locker rooms where it doesn't fucking matter. It shouldn't matter,
no.
and it should not be sexualized.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know. That's admirable. I think.
I think so. I mean, I don't like unless he's approaching sexuality as the topic.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be there. It's the same thing with the death thing. Sex should not just be this trivial thing like a beer commercial or something where it's like, I want you to drink beer, so here's some girls having a pillow fight or something like that in
Right.
bikinis. Like, it's like, no, if someone's gonna have sex, well then, sex.
Yeah.
But until then, no. What? These are cops.
Just go to work.
At work.
Put your clothes on. Go to work.
Yeah. I really respect that. But then, we also have Miguel Ferrer.
Oh, one of my favorite character actors of all time.
He is amazing.
Next to Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah.
Two of my favorite actors in this film, dude. Yeah.
So good. Have you ever seen The Night Flyer? I just want to put that out for people with Miguel Ferrer.
No, I haven't.
It's a great satirical sort of movie. It's a horror movie based on a Stephen King story.
That's where I know the name from.
Yeah. He's like he works for like the Inquirer or something with the like 2-headed baby born and blah, blah, blah. And he goes investigating this vampire, and it's absolutely subversive and satirical. I don't want to get too into it, but I really hope maybe do an episode on it. It's great, like unknown gem, and it stars him. So incredible. And I don't think he starred in a lot of films.
No, he was kind of like,
Twin Peaks backup.
Uh-huh. No, I remember him. Hot Shots was like big in my house.
Yeah.
And I think it was part 2 he was in. He's like, he has that one shot where it goes war. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that's very Bob Morton in this movie.
Exactly.
You know, like, he's a program. He's not a man. You know?
Yeah. Miguel Ferrer is great.
And then, yeah, you brought up Kurtwood Smith. I mean, this movie, we're lucky. We have two beloved TV dads in this movie. The other one's Ray Wise. He's also Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
You know, Laura Palmer's dad.
Yep.
But obviously, Kurtwood Smith from that 70s show playing one of the most despicable villains in 80s cinema. Like,
it's amazing. I don't know if it's amazing or not. I don't know if people related him, Clarence Boddicker, to the dad in the 70s show.
Sure.
Like, it worked.
He's so despicable.
He got away from this character. He didn't color his career.
No.
It was just a movie and done. So,
and I think everyone says he's a really nice guy, and it's like they in the behind the scenes stuff they were talking about that a lot. Like a lot of the like Ronnie Cox, same thing. Incredibly nice dude, always known for playing nice dude.
Always the white hat.
Yeah, and reveled in being able to be despicable.
Yeah.
You know, and they both pull it off so well. They're so gross in different ways. Like, you know, it's almost like the highbrow evil and the lowbrow evil. Like Clarence is just a street slime, you know, buddy, I think you're slime. Like, you know, but then like Ronnie Cox is just the epitome of like corporate, despicable, you know, banal evil, but like active banal. You almost believe it as he's almost mustache twirling. But not quite.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that's a very apt visual. Like, I can see that.
Yeah. But I mean, it works. It works for the movie because the movie is obviously elevated. Everything's elevated, you know,
to 11, man.
Yeah.
I love it. It's
well, yeah. And then just really quickly, we have Phil Tippett, the great Phil Tippett, who has done so many movies. I mean, doing the special effects for the ED 209 in this, which is really a performance in and of itself. Like this tantrum throwing child.
And you're telling me you'd met him a few times, right?
Yeah. He used to come into the Escapist comic book store where I used to work. And when he finished Mad God, he was very reclusive while finishing it. But then once it was out, he was like, he just dumped all his books because it was time to move on. But I don't really have a good story with him. I was just like, thank you, sir.
Well, hey, you got to meet him, man. I know a very large part of his body of work. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Anytime I see a good stop animation, I'm pretty sure it's Phil's work or a disciple of his. So yeah, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous you got to meet him. I would have gushed. I would have been that annoying fan.
He's very, it's just like reserved. So,
sure. Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, I didn't want to say much or whatever, but
don't scare him off.
Yeah, I was just like, I loved Mad God and I love your work. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm going to go stock books now.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil Tippett. Lots of old school animation movie tricks in this. Matte paintings. Lots of matte paintings.
Amazing matte paintings.
I remember watching this on TV and it never registered to me that those buildings weren't real.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away.
Yeah. I watched it on Blu-ray and it's like, I see no seams.
Still can't. Yeah,
I see no
it's still
seams.
better than any digital effects. I don't know.
Because they're taking what's there and then painting to that. You know, like some of those large, like the OCP buildings and stuff the bottoms are real buildings, and then they just take that architectural style and expand on it and make it like impossibly large, you know? And then it's like, oh yeah, well, this is the future. And it's interesting. The only time Detroit is ever seen in this movie is the opening shot.
Yep. You know, the entire movie is not made in Detroit.
No. Dallas.
Dallas and Philadelphia.
Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Or was it Pittsburgh?
Yeah, specifically Pittsburgh.
Mill?
Yeah. The steel mill. They had just shut that down.
Right.
Like they talked about that in the behind the scenes, like people had scrawled all over the steel, like these fires started burning in 1890 and they only went out in 1985, you know? And it's like, so that final area, that steel mill is so just insanely just gorgeous and dark and frightening.
What a set though, man. What a find. Like, there's no way you could afford to build something like that.
Never.
You'd have to, dude, what luck.
Yeah.
What a great like job too, finding it and using it to its extent.
And I mean, it also wouldn't have worked if the auto industry hadn't collapsed, because people would have been working there.
Exactly.
They never would have shut that down
Yeah.
to make a movie, no matter what. And this was a low budget movie, 11 million.
Ooh.
Yeah,
What?
11 million.
I know one went to the suit.
Yeah, one went to the suit.
Holy cow, 11.
Yeah, I mean,
Damn, they used to do that back in the day, didn't they?
this is, I mean, it's the prime example of like what you can do with what's there. And it's like, they really were like, looked at the budget and they were like, you can have like great set design or the suit. And they were like, okay, the suit. So everything's, or as much as possible, is on location.
Right.
One of the only sets I think is the boardroom, the office. And they,
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
we
makes
return
sense.
to that a lot, but that's in an actual, even that's not on a set. That's,
It's still in a building.
it's in a
somewhere.
building that they just built the set in the building.
Right.
You know, so it's like, that's still kind of on location in a way, you know, they're on the top of a giant Dallas skyscraper. Yeah, it's just a marvel of filmmaking on every level.
Yeah, and the way that, spacing on his name, Murphy.
Oh, Peter Weller.
Peter Weller. I do this every episode. I do not remember actors' names. I'm so garbage at it.
All good.
Peter Weller's journey
Yeah.
started, what, 5 months before?
Yeah, I heard
Even-
5, 7, I don't know, but he worked with like a mime and dance instructor for months and months.
Can you imagine spending that much amount of time before you even step foot on set
Yeah.
and build this character, and then you get the suit and it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, on the first day, because he never had put the real suit on until the first day of filming.
Yep.
And he had practiced with like football gear and stuff like that, but it's like obviously nothing.
So I'm wondering. I'm rewatching the movie and I'm looking at his movements and what he did end up doing. I'm wondering what the other performance would have been.
So they talked about it. The plan was like a snake, like he would move
Right.
like a snake, swift. And then once they were confronted with that, they had to take a couple days and start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And they came to the conclusion that it's like, oh, he's a beast, not a snake. The snake is gone.
Right.
Like, and I mean,
And
that's one of
the slower movements.
yes.
Yeah.
Because he's so huge, it doesn't make any sense for him to like it. I mean, you take that for granted. That's one of the things that
sure.
it took the longest for me to understand, because it's like, I just think, oh yeah, Robocop moves like a robot. And it's like, no, that's like a skinny dude floating in a giant suit. Like, how does that even work
Right.
without like rattling around and stuff? And it's like the head turn before moving is so amazing. You
Yeah.
know, like he turns his head and then the body follows. You know, it's just little things like
And
that.
I think that informed. I don't know where I know he worked on that with his mime instructor, but I think that movement informed what everyone thought an android would move like,
Probably.
or a cyborg or something.
Yeah.
So like everything after that, if you didn't move like that, you weren't believable
Sure.
as a robot or something. So
I mean, this is probably the first movie to really get into like the headspace of what a cyborg even is. I'm sure there were sci-fi novels
sure.
before that, but no movie even comes close to it. You know, this is about his psyche,
Yeah.
you know, and his soul and his heart. And like, it is the war between like technology and humanity, you know, in one, like they always said like, he's a human trapped in a machine, not a machine pretending to be a human, not a machine trapped in
Right.
you know, it's a man trapped in a machine, which is maybe hadn't been done in movies at all.
I can't think of one.
But now we take it for granted. It's all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
We've seen cyborgs.
It's
all
very, very integrated into our culture.
Yeah.
For sure.
and because of this.
Yeah. I'm wondering if I don't know enough about what I want to talk about in order to say anything on it. So I'm just not going to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like
I think there's some stuff from Gibson,
sure.
from like Necromancer and stuff like that may have inspired it and may have been done. But like you said, they're books.
Yeah.
And that was like way before even, around the same time as Blade Runner. Like things were
Yeah.
kind of influencing each other. But
And this was definitely influenced by Blade Runner.
oh yeah,
And I mean, I guess you're right. There is a lot of humanity to the androids in that, but they're secondary characters.
For sure.
Whereas, yeah.
well, I don't know. There's a lot of people think Deckard was
Sure.
maybe I don't know.
He could be. He could be.
Let's not start that fight.
No, I'm not going to fight about it. I don't know. He's a robot. Come fight about it. Harrison Ford's a robot. Whatever.
Yeah. Man. The guns.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a guns person.
I mean, I've shot guns. I don't know much.
Sure. I've been in the military. Was raised in the military and stuff like that. So I'm kind of looking at it when I see them.
Yeah.
There's some amazing things happening in this film, and there's there's an IMDb. There's also an IMDb for guns
In movies?
Yeah, there's a whole other
Sure.
website and that wiki. Like, it's awesome, and there's something like 35 different
I would imagine.
guns because there's so much just bang bang in this movie.
One of the things that Verhoeven brought up is that this is like the story of Frankenstein, which makes a lot of sense, the reanimation.
Sure.
But it's also, to him, the story of Jesus.
Jesus, yeah, I picked up on that too.
Yeah, the crucifixion, the death of Murphy, which is so hardcore violent, like just insanely graphic, blasting his hand off and stuff. And that one shot where that's the only time that you get Murphy as like a puppet, where the camera rotates around his body and then you see the back of his head blow out.
If you watch the R version. If you watch the TV version, it never shows you the puppet.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was amazing. They did whoever did the mask.
It looks so good.
Exactly like him.
It looks so good, writhing in agony.
He's frozen in time, writhing in agony like that. I felt bad for the puppet.
Yeah,
it was that good.
It's that good. But yeah, I mean, it's the Jesus allegory is crazy once you start looking at it, and he sees him as American Jesus. That is like, which Verhoeven is a madman. I mean, and I love him deeply for it, but it's like, he is Dutch. He came here. He was blown away by the level of violence on our streets and the guns and all that. So he's like, well, the American Jesus would have guns. And he even cited like a thing from the Bible, like right before Jesus died, apparently he was like, if you have a cloak, sell it and buy a sword.
Right.
And it's like, so he's like, even Jesus promoted weaponry at the end. Right? And so it's like this, like, and he also threw out the term like fascism for liberals. Like, the movie has an extremely liberal mindset, but it's like, extreme weaponization of that, like, shoot a rapist in his dick, like blow it off, like,
Yep. Talk about memorable scenes, like from my childhood. It's,
oh my God.
Bloody dick guy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Shooting through the skirt.
Yeah. I didn't even like register like how cool of an idea that was, but like I just came away with like, I probably don't want to get shot in my dick.
No.
I never want to wind up in that situation.
No.
But yeah, that's just Paul Verhoeven. That's like, who else could come up with that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. We haven't touched on how funny this movie is. There's so many jokes. It's violent and tragic, but the jokes.
And I wonder who got the jokes, because I, as a kid, didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood there was adult humor that I was going to have to wait and learn how to get.
Sure.
But like, I wonder how many people just missed everything, because I picked up on so much watching this again.
Yeah. I mean, probably a lot. They talked about in the ED 209 demo at the beginning, where they give the Desert Eagle to that guy, Kinney.
Yeah.
And then he just gets blown away, right? They cut a lot of the violence. There's a part where he falls back onto the table and then is just like pulped, like turned to mush.
Right. Yeah, he's hamburger.
That part's cut out. And immediately following that, right, the guy, I think it's Bob Morton, yells, "Somebody want to call a goddamn paramedic?" Like, and it's like, because the violence is so extreme, that's why that works. If it's less violent, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it could be taken. Yeah.
It could be like, get a paramedic.
Joke wouldn't hit, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I think there's maybe some of that going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But also, people don't expect a movie called Robocop to be funny.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that's what I I'm kind of afraid of, like, because I don't remember the audience. I mean, I was young when it came out, and I don't know how people took it.
Sure.
And I don't know if people understood these kinds of subversive jokes that Verhoeven was putting in there. Most people I knew just like wanted to buy the toy and like thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way they knew
No.
All the little digs he was putting in there.
Satirization of American culture and
Yeah.
capitalism and products and, like,
Masterfully done.
who cares if it works? Like, it's great.
And at that scene, the executives immediately go to, how do we fix this? And this isn't the dead guy.
No.
It's the product isn't ready.
Yeah. The old man's like, I'm very disappointed in you. And then one of my favorite lines in it is like the other, one of the other executives are in the elevator with Bob Morton, and they're like, sucks about Kenny though. And he's like, that's life in the big city.
Just dismissed right away.
Yeah. I mean, it's just absurdism.
Oh,
But
for sure.
in that, I think it probably maybe hits harder now, not being in that Reagan 80s,
That's true. Yeah. I had no sense of politics, even through the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's starting to learn more about that and its relation to the mirror he's holding up.
Yeah. To that world at that time, which some of disturbingly more so is how much a lot of it still applies, but
Yeah.
it is very like, the corporate 80s culture, that they try to satirize in a lot of other movies that
I was thinking of the only other film I could think of that does it to this level is American Psycho.
yeah,
Like that's
definitely.
yeah,
And-
that's my only like recollection of the 80s really is
Yeah.
watching it in these movies.
Yeah, no, and I mean he's also trying to satirize it, whereas like there's what's the Wall Street movie, and it's like I don't think like people just embrace that guy. They're like, yeah, greed is good, and it's like no, that's a no.
Yeah, you're supposed to hate that guy.
Yeah.
It's the wrong guy.
And it's like, but they were maybe too in that world to even see it, or maybe they didn't go hard enough into the satirization or something.
I imagine they were looking for a mascot.
Yeah,
They didn't even care.
Yeah,
Anything they could do to justify their greed and
their
just
behavior.
their behavior. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean is still going on, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yes. I guess one other thing is just like, and why I love this movie and think honestly, it's probably the best 80s action movie for me is that there's a heart here.
Sure.
It's not senseless violence. It's great action, great violence, great special effects, all the stuff that we love other movies for. And I love those movies too, but it's like a deeply tragic story about loss.
Yep.
Like we never even get to see his family, so they exist only as these haunting memories to him.
Yeah.
And there's that shot of them like waving in front of the house.
That was especially creepy watching it this time.
It's so disturbing.
Yeah.
But I really think the heart of this movie is when he returns to the house. And it's like the house that he used to live in. He's been dead for we don't know how long, probably months and months that they've been, because we see holidays pass while they're working on him. So
that's true. Yeah. I didn't even think about the length of time in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, so it just wakes up out of a dream, basically. Months later, the house is up for sale. There's like that computerized, like, realtor or whatever. And he goes through the house and has these we see the house empty, and then he has the flashback of his kid watching, TJ Laser, why he does the spinning gun thing,
Gunslinger thing. Yeah.
Role models can be very important to a boy.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, Robocop as the role model, like that's the meta line.
For sure.
But it's like, I have something to tell you. I love you. All that stuff is like, has been parodied and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But in the context of this movie, it's haunting and deeply sad and disturbing. Like, and that tone shift, when do you see that in an action movie?
They try really hard.
Yeah.
They're trying to cast to such a general audience that it doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah, it's like maybe John Wick or something with the puppy, I mean, that's like the only attempt I can even think of in modern.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Outside of the Marvel movies, I can't think of anything that actually uses that kind of emotional swing.
Yeah.
As an action movie,
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. It's genuinely like, and I mean, I don't think I got that either when I was a kid. I have to be like older and have lost
Sure.
You know, it's like the beginning of like Up or whatever. Kids just watch it and they're like, why is mommy and daddy crying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just don't get it until you've experienced it. I mean, obviously I haven't experienced what Robocop, what Murphy experienced.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, no, I hope nobody does. But yeah, just like the lines of that the company is willing to go, you know, like that POV rebirth sequence, like
one of my favorite, my favorite sequences. Like, I don't know if you've seen Spaced.
I love Spaced. One of my favorite sitcoms of all time.
Their parody of it for the Fuckestupus, the robot for the Robot Wars.
Oh yeah.
I go back to that all the time. That's just I'm like not reluctant, but I find myself wanting to write my own version of it, and I keep just trying to shove it in my own films.
Yeah.
But the rebirth is like,
it's crazy.
Yep.
And you know, that's the other thing is like,
that's how to do exposition.
Yeah.
That's how to fucking not shove it down people's throats. How to experience it with the character.
I mean, truly with him. And that's the thing. Like, that's the heart is we become Robocop for when he's in the house. We're not watching him react to that stuff. We're just watching we see him come in and then we're in his eyes.
Yep.
The whole time we're in the house. Same thing with the rebirth. Like, it's deeply traumatic experience, you know? So it's like Verhoeven puts us inside his mind, which allows the emotions to actually work instead of just watching some guy like
yeah, exactly. Just some senseless robot. And
you're
right. It's such big heart.
Yeah.
In the film.
And the callousness of the company and everything, you know, like
in contrast,
lose the arm.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's legally dead, so we can do whatever we want with him. Lose the arm.
Yep.
You know? And then like the one time Bob Morton's like good is when he's like, come on.
Yeah, he's a daddy.
It's for
daddy
you.
Figure to it.
It's for you. They're cheering for you.
Right.
Like, you know, and you're like, oh, actually, do I like this guy? Like,
it did make for a hard read. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
it's more just he's proud of the product, I think. But in that moment, especially a newly born person.
I think he was also he didn't know how to not be condescending.
Yeah.
So that was just him being Bob Morton. Like, how he would talk to probably a non-English speaking employee.
Yeah.
You know, just an asshole.
Yeah. You're doing great. Great job. Yeah. Just through
so
and through.
The one endearing moment that looked like it was probably just Miguel Ferrer coming through.
Yeah.
As probably a good human being.
Yeah. Amazing. Just once again, Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
And then like how they introduce Robocop is like, he's obscured. Like Verhoeven talked about it. He's like, he can't just walk out with the big triumphant music and stuff. Like otherwise the people would laugh.
Yeah.
So there has to be that buildup, like where you see him on the screen real hazy. And then then they go to the police precinct where they're dropping him off. And it's like,
you see him around corners, like the rest of everybody else in the crowd sees him.
Yeah. And it's the crowd, using the crowd as to tell the audience how to react, which is in awe, right? It builds the awe. What is this shit?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's this huge moment,
masterfully done.
Yeah. And then between the fence and stuff, it's just like progressively giving us a little bit more of him. And then once you see him, we're in. You know, we're like, holy shit. And obviously the suit is great.
I got one little nitpick for this part. So Bob Morton's walking around getting instructions from the scientists about what this means, as if he doesn't already know.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Sure.
And then if you watch the cinematography of it, Robocop is being moved around for no reason on a gimbal.
Yeah.
It's just to keep the scene moving, I think, and make it look interesting. But yeah, he's like being spun around like on a fucking roller coaster for no apparent reason. And then but it ends at the end of the scene and Bob Morton's like, I love you. Like you're the best.
Yeah. Calibration. That's what I'll say. It's that. I don't know.
Calibrating his gimbal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, probably. I never thought about that.
I just noticed it watching it the second time. It's like, why is he moving? He's sitting down. He's in his like super chair.
It's probably
like
just so
being
he's
rotated and he's like looking around. It was just funny.
It's probably that so he's not just sitting there like.
Yeah, I totally get it. I would probably do the same thing if I was looking at it and getting bored, making my own film. Yeah, like fucking, you got to spin him.
Yeah, they probably tried it. Just sat him there and they're like, this doesn't work. Move him around.
How about poor fucking Weller
Yeah.
getting into makeup for that thing
Yeah.
up to like 10, 12 hours.
That was at first. They said they got it down to like 2.5 or something, but that's like
I cannot fucking imagine the fortitude you'd have to sit in a makeup chair and go through that shit and then act as if you're fresh.
Yeah.
Dude, what the hell?
Yeah. So many hours before the cameras start even rolling. And I mean, they talk because he's wearing like basically like a diver suit underneath all the plastic armor and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was sweating like crazy. They were in Dallas.
Texas, fucking in the summertime.
Yeah. Everyone else talked about like being miserable, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, look over at Peter." And he lost like pounds every day.
And he was already like a marathon runner, so he was a skinny guy.
Yeah,
like didn't have much to lose to begin with. I'm surprised he didn't get heat stroke. And
I mean, he probably did at certain points.
Yeah.
I don't remember them talking about it or anything, but I can't imagine he didn't get heat stroke at least one day.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And people knew about it, less about it.
Yeah,
back then to how to recognize it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But damn, dude. Much respect.
But it's also, I mean, it's the dedication. It's like literally no other person could have done this because they talked about it like most times with people in suit movies, they go, well, it's a guy in a suit. Who cares? Right. And it's like, this role never would have worked. You needed someone who believed in it and wanted to like, I mean, he like got method with this. He wouldn't respond to Peter.
He rehearsed for like 5 months before to be ready for it. Yeah. But he was into this thing.
He like had Verhoeven call him Robocop, and Verhoeven's like, I can't do it. That. It's too silly. Like, I can't do that. But like, I just respect the dedication, especially for that, to like, get inside the head of this weird, unknown figure.
Yeah. He was starting his own thing, Harbinger, of like what these characters look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True dedication, I mean, and I don't know. It's insanely impressive. Like you take it for granted, the performance, like I said before, like the movement.
And now that I know that, I'm watching him in every scene too, in the armor going, yeah, he's hurting then.
Oh,
he's in pain.
Yeah.
But look at that fucking performance.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing a robot. It's typically, somewhat emotionless, but still doing that. Who knows how many takes they went through too? Like,
who knows?
There's going to be multiple
to get it right. I mean, like
there's the keys thing.
Mm-hmm.
But an entire day of shooting one scene. I couldn't imagine.
Just catch.
I would feel like we were in trouble.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie's going to get shut down if we did that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they knew that they were probably going to go over. That's why they had the death is the last scene that they shot. Because they knew it was the only scene that the studio couldn't demand that they leave out.
Right.
So they purposely,
smart.
Very smart. But like also knowing, we're doing some unprecedented stuff. We know this is going to go over. Like,
yeah, but it's weird to think of like 11 million would be like the cap.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like that's just, we spend that on catering.
It's crazy. It was budgeted at 10 and then they went over like to 11. That's what it was.
Dude, that's nuts. I had no idea. I mean, I didn't hear much about the cost of it, but it must have, what did it make?
Oh, I didn't even look that up. I'm sure.
It's been making that back every year at least since it came out. Of course.
Yeah. I mean, now still streaming platforms paying for it or whatever. Like, dude, I mean, it's a seminal classic.
I'll find out and I'll edit it in right here.
Yeah.
$53.4 million box office.
Wow, that much?
Wow, damn. Very professional.
Yeah.
This podcast.
Let's see. I mean, I don't know. Do we want to like give away the ending and talk about any of that stuff?
No, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the whole final like third act takes place in the steel mill where they kind of stage a trap for Clarence Bodiger's gang.
Right.
And you have the most insane, like the toxic waste death.
Fuck, that's like the most haunting thing from my childhood, dude. When I watched this again, I felt something.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's oatmeal that's on his back.
Sure.
But when I was a kid, I didn't fucking know that.
No.
I thought it was like brains. And
it's deeply disturbing.
Oh my God. That makeup job. On a meal.
Yeah. He gets covered in the toxic waste and then he like goes up to Ray Wise's character and just like, help me. He's like, don't touch me, man. Like, and the horror on his face is
they showed that on TV. That was still in the fucking like live TBS on television, and then commercial television.
Getting blasted with the car.
Like spray.
Yeah.
Just like gunk on the fucking windscreen.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like how he dies and how liquidy it is makes me be like, his flesh is no longer like our flesh. It's like softer, and it makes it more disturbing.
So much more disturbing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And there's nothing but a jug of milk being thrown into the car.
Yeah.
For that
with
effect.
some red.
So good. So good.
Yeah. And just Clarence like, shit. Just like.
You didn't even know what happened.
No.
Oh my God, man. Yes. That's yep.
One of them.
If I had to pick like one of my favorite special effects from the 80s.
Oh, totally.
It's especially in this film. It's like the toxic. Yeah.
It's so horrific. They talked about that being the audience's favorite scene, and that the studio wanted to cut that, but they were like, it's the audience cheers every time.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, we especially hated that guy. He's like the main of the cronies. Like, there's Clarence, but then there's that guy who's like, at the gas station, has that whole scene like, you a college boy? He's like pretty smart. Think he can outsmart a bullet? Like, which is like the stupidest line ever, but so good. Like that one, and then will somebody call a goddamn paramedic? Like, had me rolling even on the whatever millionth time I've seen this. Like
exactly.
And then, we have the whole, like, when he returns to the boardroom, after he's destroyed the gang. I mean, he kills Clarence, right, with the spike.
Yeah, the data spike.
Yeah, which is really cool because, he gets impaled by Clarence with the pole.
I was wondering if that was like another spear reference, like a crucifixion reference.
Probably. I didn't hear anything with that, but I mean, it's all there.
It's all there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's the walking on water part. They're in water.
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
That was overt. He was definitely having him walk on water at the end. And then he gets like crushed, and then like impaled, and it's like a second death.
Yeah.
In a way, or a third death or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole final boardroom, and the whole big, like, I guess MacGuffin of why he can't just take out Ronnie Cox is like the Directive 4. Like, he cannot hurt
programming. Yeah.
Yeah. He can't hurt or arrest or do anything to a OCP boardroom member. But then, after they find, like, he proves that he killed Bob Morton, it's like, and he takes the old man hostage, and it's like, you're fired. And it's like, thank you.
Yep.
And just blows him away.
That's just good storytelling. Like, who thought the old man would have joined in and like on the procedure, on the making things go right.
Yeah, he's an interesting character because it's like, clearly that guy's still a scumbag, just not as much as them.
Yeah.
He's not willing to kill people in his own company. I mean, he is like a military contractor and like, he was
trying to build a new Detroit. But he's also not an NPC. He's not just like, he actually like took an active role in killing the big bad.
Yeah. And then you like him despite anything. You like that guy.
Yeah.
And because he also is like at the end there, like the very end, it's like, nice shooting, son. What's your name? And then the final line of the movie, like, Murphy.
Another thing I loved, the final line right there, and then title Robocop.
Yeah.
We don't see that ever anymore. Like, just end of movie. You don't get any more. That's it. You're done.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. And then they flip it in the second one, I think, which dehumanizes him a little bit, but it's like,
it's been a while since I watched that one.
There's good stuff in there. I mean, it's nowhere near this.
I obviously don't remember that one as much. So
the best part about that one is like that the villain in it is called Robocop 2, which is the name of the movie.
That's right.
Because they build like the second Robocop, but it's like, we have to stop Robocop 2.
I remember them watching through their failures and the
and they introduce like the crazy drug and stuff. Like it's fun, but it's more in line with an 80s action movie.
Yeah.
Whereas this thing transcends. This one stands on its own.
For sure. Well, they've made what, 5 or 6?
There's 2. Peter Weller's in 2. They did a third one. They did like a show. They did like a live action show a kids animated show.
Okay.
Which is crazy. And then they did the remake, I think.
Yeah, the 2017
which is
or whatever.
Horrendous.
I didn't watch it.
Oh God.
It seemed like even from the previews there was no there was obviously no heart.
No.
It was just like, ooh, there's a badass robot guy.
Yeah.
He shoots stuff, and that was it.
It doesn't make any sense.
Oh my god.
There's no satire. So it's just, they play it straight, where it's just like, yeah, cool, Robocop.
It's like another Judge Dredd Transformers movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Can't believe they spend that much, and they've spent way more than $11 million on it.
Way more. I mean,
There's no way they didn't.
all those 2000s remakes, though. You want to talk about nostalgia killers? I don't know what there is to kill there, but it's like, let's watch the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street,
Jesus,
the
no.
Robocop, the Total Recall remakes. It's like,
Yep. No, they're
atrocious and
absolutely
unneeded.
bad. Yeah, completely pointless. Nobody liked them.
No.
Even the people who liked the original movies, nobody liked them.
Yeah. My only hope is that someone heard that a thing was coming out and then they watched the old one. And I'm sure a few people did. They're like, okay, what's Robocop? Oh, let's watch the old one. Maybe 5 people, 20
Sure.
people.
Yeah.
If that's all it did, fine.
Fine. Yeah. There's a John Landis cameo.
Is there?
So in the 6000 Sucks SUX car,
Yeah.
there was the huge dinosaur going through Detroit. Maybe
Yeah.
there's just like one little. He's like an extra. He's going, oh my god.
Cool.
And then there's another director cameo in the dance for like 4 frames. Paul Verhoeven's.
Oh,
He's the guy you see come up on the screen. And go, that's
he's
it.
he's in the club.
He's in the club, like when they're doing all the flashes to the different people around.
Yeah.
He's like the one guy with nobody around him.
That's cool. Yeah, the club scene where he Ray Wise kicks Robocop in the
In his metal
the
nuts.
crotch that is just a piece of metal. Real smart.
And like everybody around him just laughing at him too.
Yeah.
I got so much enjoyment out of watching him hurt himself.
He is incredible too. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like even the random cronies are like star people.
Yeah, deep bench, like
Yeah.
big time.
And I mean, this is before Twin Peaks and everything, but it's like, we know Ray Wise, if you watch Twin Peaks, like him, once his daughter's dead and he's like dancing and like making the number of times he makes a fool of himself in these scenes and people are like, get him out of here.
Right.
Like, but he's so good with the emotion and the crying just out of nowhere. It's like the best, like random crony you could have.
For sure.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, man, just top to bottom, everybody involved. And the music, we didn't talk about that, but like super cool music.
Very definitive.
Yeah.
Like there's no mistaking RoboCop music.
Yeah. It's Basil Ponderosa's, I believe. I'm probably totally mangling his last name.
It's like, it's a Greek last name, like
Yeah.
Pordorlis or something.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at this.
He did Conan the Barbarian too, which is also great score.
It's very not similar, but like you could tell it was from the same person.
Yeah.
And that's very much.
Yeah.
But it's identifiable as well.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not just a wash in the background.
I mean, that's the lost art, right? You know, score now is just there.
Yep.
And you can't hum. You can't walk out of any of these movies and hum them. And it's like, it's like, oh yeah, Robocop. Like, you know, Indiana Jones. Like, we remember these things, you know? What I liked, though, is he had 2 separate themes for Murphy and Robocop. And the Murphy score is done with a symphony, like with the strings and everything.
Very
and the
analog.
and the Robocop score is synth.
Yep.
You know, and it's very subtle, but how it's laced through there, it totally works. Even when Robocop is becoming more human again, is when the strings come back.
Yep.
At the end.
Yeah, it's so like subliminal.
Yeah.
It's very much.
Which is what the music should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, masterful.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Everything in this is just came together
Yeah.
so well.
It's wild.
We got Phil Tippett. We got so much. I don't know. Yeah. When did we have such a group of people working on a single project?
Especially something called Robocop. And like
That everyone thought was going to be a loser movie.
Yeah.
Actors were ditching because
Yeah.
they're like, no thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
it's all cylinders. Like
yep.
I mean,
a perfect storm of
acting, characters, direction, editing, special effects.
yeah.
Like the music, there's action, poetic violence, heart, tragedy, humor. It's triumphant, predicts our future, satirizes. Like, it's like, I don't know what else I need.
Right.
I don't know what else.
Yep.
You know, like, I mean, especially for an action movie, you have all that plus
Yeah.
everything. You know, it's rare, extremely rare that something like this happens.
Yeah, it's definitely a keystone, you know, in our past.
Yeah.
But so I mean, as far as we figured out on the nostalgia killers, we talk about at the end, do we want this movie to live? Do we want to maybe watch out for it later or just kill it? But I can't find anything wrong with this film.
No.
The fact that it's whatever would be problematic that's in it, because it's a satire, it's hard to like fault it for it.
Yeah.
So there's just no fucking way. I mean, this thing lives. I'm sorry, for me. I'm sure it does for you too. I'm sure it does for many people.
Yeah.
This was like low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
This was not a problem.
Yeah, no. I definitely want to. I'll come back and we'll get into some more questionable films. But no, there's no nostalgia to kill here because it's like I've continued to watch this movie and love it more every time.
If anything, it's increased my nostalgia for the time, the movie itself, and what it's meant for me over my life.
Yeah,
especially since I've only just watched the full thing.
I know,
for the first time. It was like getting to see it for the first time again.
Truly,
it was great, dude.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean,
it was a life moment right there.
And now it's very available. You know, there's no more of the censored version and stuff. It's like when you find it online, I did that research because I was like, is it the R-rated on the streamers and stuff? It's like, no, it's the unrated version, you know, where you see more of the violence, which allows it to work.
Yeah, you see everything Verhoeven wanted in it.
Yeah.
And that's the one I want to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So watch it, folks. If you haven't, if it's been a while, it's time to watch it.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Yeah.
Even like with the commercials coming in, it brought back some nostalgia because it was like watching it on TBS again.
Yeah.
Like I never watch anything with commercials anymore. I tune them out or whatever. But yeah. Thank you for listening, everybody. This has been The Nostalgia Killers. I've been Luke Lones.
I've been Robert Negoesco.
Thank you again for filling in for Chuck while he's off farting around Europe somewhere.
Yeah, well, I hope he's having a good time. We're having a good time, though.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure, man. We'll definitely have you back. And then we'll, as we move forward, we want to bring in, a third person. So we're going to have you on, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
There's no like cronyism involved that we all went to film school together for,
No, yeah.
Let's not mention that part. No.
That you were my cinematographer on my very successful film you should watch that I will plug on YouTube. She Woke Up Possessed.
Pluggables. Let's do pluggables, man.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you're listening to this Robocop podcast, that's what I want you to watch because we set out to make a satire. And I mean, I think we were pretty successful for a, student thesis short film. Like,
for sure.
It got me taken across the country. So
that's right. That's right.
I think you'll like it. If you like Robocop and it was one of the inspirations, that sort of satirical tone.
That makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Very cool. How about your comic book stuff?
Oh yeah. Follow me on or check out my Instagram, Robert_Negoesco. I have a bunch of stuff available, kind of like a pack of all of it. $25 with shipping and stuff gets you the whole pack of the like 6 books.
Very cool.
And I'm working on more. Got a movie zine coming out, so
nice.
We'll later down the line plug that, a horror focused. So
right
lots of projects going on.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, Robert.
It's been an honor.
Yes, indeed. This was fun. And thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you for having me.